today on Divorce Court. Today's couple is consumed with resentment, even though they both done plenty wrong. She lied, he cheated, she revenge cheated, and the vicious cycle continues. Now they have a 2-week-old baby boy, and they're asking me to help put their broken relationship back together again.
Divorce Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lynn Toler presiding.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here today with Lillian Wilson and Yadea Muhammad. The two of you have been together for 4 years. You've been engaged for 2 months. This is a before your vows. You have 2 children. One of them that you share with him is 2 weeks old, brand new. Ms. Wilson, why don't you tell me a little bit about your relationship and why you're here to see me today?
Why I'm here to see you today, one of the main issues is our household chores. One of my friends, you know, when she comes over, she's just automatically, you know, prepared to clean up because when she comes in, it's always, you know, dirty dishes laying around, clothes, nowhere to sit. You know,
Well, who's making the mess and who's not cleaning up behind themselves?
Well, most of the time it has been me doing majority of the cleaning, even before my maternity leave. But, you know, I was doing most of that cleaning with, you know, working.
Well, let's get some background here, because I understand you do a lot of things. You're in school, you work, and you have children.
Yes.
And you work.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there an issue that he doesn't pull his weight around the house?
With cleaning up, yes. Yeah.
Mr. Muhammad, what do you have to say about that?
I clean up. But when I don't clean up, it's probably because I get up maybe 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm at work 14, 15 hours a day. Not to take away from what she does, because she has a load. But I'm running 100 miles an hour all day, every day, 6 days a week. So when I get home, I think about it. I want to do it, but my body doesn't just,
It doesn't cooperate.
But on Sunday, when I wake up and she's still asleep, I hit the kitchen, I clean the dishes, I mop the floor. When she comes downstairs, I know she smell it. She might act like she don't smell it, but she know I cleaned up.
Does he get up on Sunday and take care of business?
After he plays the game and do all of this
But he still gets
stuff.
to it, though.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. What else is a problem?
When I don't cook. When I don't cook, it's like a very big issue. But a lot of the part of me not cooking is the fact that when I want to cook, I have to clean the entire kitchen first.
Before you can cook.
Before I can cook. You know, if all of the dishes in the house are dirty and the counters are a mess, like by the time I'm done cleaning up and sweeping and mopping, dealing with the baby here and there in between, it's like I don't want to cook anymore.
Do you think he has more free time than you do?
Yeah, he gets up at 2 in the morning and goes to work. And then he comes home at the time that I'm going to school, which is 5 or 6. It's like I'm going to school now from 6 to 10, so that 6 to 10 time is his free time. He comes home and, you know, he gets to play his game and...
Don't have no free time. That's not free time.
What are you doing from 6 to 10?
Miss, from 6 to 10, I should be asleep because I drive trucks.
Right.
When I'm on my way home, I'm nodding off. Sometimes I have to call her to let her...
Keep you awake.
You know, because I'm falling asleep on my way home.
Yeah.
Now, when I get home, she's cooking. Okay, cooking, great. I understand.
Which, if the food is not done before
I can cook myself.
Gets home.
It's not the cooking that's the problem. As I come home from work, I might happen to go upstairs, and I'll just pin into last week. She's upstairs in the bed. Yes, she has the baby, but she's watching you. She's watching Jasmine Toler. It's not the first time.
Now. My bad.
No, it's not the first time. But at the same time, I understand that she's tired. She has the baby, but you can cook, and if you don't cook, I can buy something, but today you're not doing too much.
So when you're not doing too much, at least give me a meal, is what you're
It
saying.
ain't gotta be nothing.
When he walks in the door.
This is a logistical concern.
I be tired.
Yeah, I get that. It's a logistical concern. You guys got to figure out ways to have a meal that can be heated up real quick. And like maybe on Sunday, you both get in the kitchen. Do 6 days worth, get in there, have fun while you're doing it, put it in the freezer so you can do it. This is a logistical concern. I want to hear something that'll set my hair on fire. You say that he's controlling and possessive. I want you to tell me about that.
I saw her telling one of her exes, oh, I gotta see if I can get away from him so we can come, whatever they were gonna do.
Did you, in fact, tell an ex that you had to wait to get rid of him so the two of you could hook up? Ms. Wilson, you say Mr. Muhammad is possessive and controlling. Explain what you mean to me by that.
I can explain perfectly. One day, me and my friend, we were at the house, you know, doing regular girl stuff, watching movies. But when I got ready to take her home, I'm, you know, driving. About halfway there, I look in the rearview mirror. He's following me to her house. I guess he's following me to see if I'm gonna make any extra stops on the way or whatever. But I seen him in the rearview mirror about 3 cars back, pull up to her house. He's parked on the next street. And then when I get ready to leave, I see him pull out again about 3 cars behind me, you know, trying to just blend in with the traffic. Yeah. And I'm feeling like,
I could have seen something.
why are you following me?
Well, let's ask him. Why are you following her?
I want to see what she don't tell me.
Do you have any reason to believe that she might be doing something inappropriate with somebody?
She has messages in her phone that she has to go through every day and delete. Every day. For the better half of this year, when the time I was following her, that time I wanted to see.
Well, how long were you following her?
Probably about 10 minutes. She didn't know I was there. I made a bad
But
turn.
how often do you follow her?
Exactly.
Don't make
He
her
made
think
a
she
bad
knew.
turn and then pretended like he didn't make that bad turn. So when he
I
actually
knew.
pulled
I was
in
joking.
front of me to go the opposite direction, he's looking forward like yeah,
it's not me.
This is not me. I don't have any valid proof that I just followed you from.
Have you found anything at any time on her phone or on one of your follows that allow you to believe that she's actually doing something wrong?
One time, I think we were going to pick her sister up or something, and I was going through her phone for something, and she asked me to go through it on that one. Mm-hmm. Instead of me doing what she told me to do, silly me want to go dig for information.
Right.
So I saw her telling one of her exes, oh, I got to see if I can get away from him so we can come, whatever they were going to do, whatever it was. We got an argument about that, and she goes off and punched me in my face. That ain't even the problem. The bad thing about this, she tells me, oh, I didn't punch you. You leaned into my fist.
He did.
I said, what?
He did.
Well, first of all, let's get to your first sin before we can get to your second sin. Did you, in fact, tell an ex that you had to wait to get rid of him so the two of you could hook up?
I didn't say get rid of him. It was probably some other wording that I do not
But
remember.
that was the gist of it. You were hooking
Probably.
up with an ex and trying to keep him from knowing about it.
Yes.
That would tend to make someone suspicious, yes?
Yes.
Were you gonna do a wrong thing?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Now
Yes.
tell me how he leaned into your fist.
Because, okay, we were in the car and I'm driving and he is pushing my
We were at
hand,
a
got his
stoplight.
hand in my face, so I push his hand away and then he pushes my hand just to a point where I basically hit myself. So when I got ready to hit him back, I was not trying to punch him in the face. He moved his face to in the path of wherever I was punching.
Of your fist?
Yes.
So you intended to punch him somewhere else other than
Exactly,
the face.
in his
And the
face.
only reason he got tagged in the face is because he bobbed when he should have weaved.
Exactly.
Everybody laughing. And it's a funny story, but Ms. Wilson, you can't hit people. Mr. Muhammad, you can't hit people, especially in the car. Because you lose control of that car, we're all in trouble. The next thing I want to talk about is the fact that you give her a dress code that she must follow.
I'm calling him. A woman answers the phone. and it's like, oh, I didn't know y'all was together. We just had a baby.
Mr. Muhammad, did you have an outside baby on her? Would you expect your spouse to evenly divide the chores if both of you worked? Tell us what you think at Divorce Court. Today's question sponsored by Divorce Court will be right back. If you would like your case to be heard on Divorce Court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com. Missed a show? Watch full episodes on our streaming platforms, and for exclusive content, go to Apple TV. Mr. Muhammad, do you have a dress code for her?
Absolutely not. I do not have a dress code for her. Don't do that.
What?
She
Do
can
you
wear,
have some guidelines?
She can wear whatever she want to wear.
Right.
If it's up here, she's gonna hear that I don't like it. I don't know what to say, but I tell her
I don't wear
I
things
don't like
that's
this.
up here.
Well, what do you think?
Bring it down a
What do
little
you
bit,
think
make
the
it- it's
dress
not a big
code is?
deal.
You're the one that claimed he had a dress code for you. What's the dress code?
He don't want me to wear nothing above my knees.
Miss, you,
Right.
when you come to your knees, you have here, here, here. When it gets up here, you can't do no moving. Once you decide to
I
drop
don't
something,
wear
you got.
things like that. I don't even disrespect him like that.
Let me ask you this, Ms. Wilson. You say that Mr. Muhammad told you a huge lie, and as a result thereof, you can't trust him. Tell me what that huge lie was.
One day he was supposed to be at work. He was not at work. He was somewhere else. I'm calling him. A woman answers the phone and is like, oh, well, I don't know why he's with you. I didn't know y'all was together. We just had a baby. And I'm like, what? So I was like, okay, hung up the phone. You know, I kind of let it go because, you know, I didn't believe right off rip that
Yeah,
he
she
did
might
have
have
a
just
baby.
been some woman trying to start trouble.
Right.
You don't know.
But after, you know, further investigation, someone referred me to a picture of them in the delivery room, him with the baby, and stuff like that.
Mr.
So-
Muhammad, did you have an outside baby on her?
Not an outside baby. Listen,
We
miss.
were on a break.
Go ahead. Go
Hang
ahead.
on, Mr. Muhammad, you explain to me your version of these events.
When we got together, for maybe 6 or 7 months, everything was fine. No problems, no breaks,
Right.
none of that kind of talk. Everything was good until I got nosy and I seen somebody I want to see.
What did you see?
I saw her going back and forth,
Some
texting with
messages
one
in
of her
my
exes.
phone.
Text with one of her exes, you know,
Right.
going
This
around
is
the corner
before
again.
we were like really, really serious.
You
We
were
was
starting to date, and you know.
see,
Okay.
6 or 7 months into the relationship, as he said.
Okay.
You know where
okay.
I was those 6,
Go
7
ahead.
months? Every day, we were together. Maybe 9 months in, or a year in, she decides, we go to the beach, she wants to leave me. All right.
Leave you at the beach or leave you
She
leave
wants
the
to,
relationship?
she wants us to be friends. Out of nowhere. We went back to her house that night, and I'm sitting in the car, I'm talking to her, and I think Selena came on, and I started crying with dealing with this situation. I'm crying
Right.
in the car like a fool
Right.
for the first time in my life
Uh-huh.
over a woman who don't want to be with me.
Right?
I stayed there that night, and I woke up and asked her if she still wanted
Felt
us
that
to.
way, yeah.
And she said, yeah. So I think it was the very next day I had relations with another person.
The very next day.
It should have been that day, tell you the truth, but it wasn't.
Well, you know, if you broke up with him, you broke up with him. If you break up with somebody at 105, at 106, he's a free agent. So you can't be mad about that. Now, the part I can get mad about is if you're just off on some random sexual escapade, why didn't you make sure you didn't make a baby?
Wasn't it random?
Was it someone you were already seeing?
Someone I was with before, yeah.
I'm saying if you're not in a committed relationship with somebody over a period of time, you shouldn't knock them up. That's what I'm trying to say.
You shouldn't, but...
You're objecting to the word random.
Yeah.
I'll take the word random out. But I'm just saying that's what I'm mad about.
But-
having said that, didn't you cheat on him and have a baby?
No.
Tuh.
I didn't have a baby. Yes, I cheated. But I didn't have a baby.
You know why she didn't have a
yet.
baby? Because there's an abortion. And she made him pay for it. And made me go to the doctor with her when she got the abortion.
let me stop everything for a moment. You know, we're here on a before your vows. They want to see if they should get married. They got a 2-week-old at home. Give me 15 seconds. Why, despite all of this, he's cheated, I's cheated, break babies, all of that going on, he's following me in the car. Why? 15 seconds. You are even considering marrying this dude.
Deep down, he is a very caring person. He's a great provider. I know he really does love and care for me because there has been that point where, like, he goes above and beyond to try to make me happy. And for the most part, I am.
Are you hard
happy.
to make happy?
No, no, I'm not.
You
Seriously, I don't go out and buy $300 weaves, and I don't get my nails done that often. Like, the most I'll do is go get my toes done, and if I do get my hair done...
Well, I wasn't really talking about that when I said being happy. But
no, I'm not hard to please.
You're not hard to please?
No,
15
all the way
seconds,
around.
Mr. Muhammad. She took about 30. But if could just 15 seconds on why you believe she's the woman for you.
Well, I feel like she saved my life. It's kind of tough for me to think about, but before I met her, I was always into something I probably shouldn't have been into.
Yeah.
But when I got with her and she showed me that she cared at this beginning time when we were together, she showed me how much she cared. I didn't really have a need to be nowhere, and I was with her. And it took away a lot of the stresses and pains that I might have
Mr.
thought
Muhammad,
about.
you just stopped a fuss right in its tracks. This whole situation gonna turn around, and I'm gonna be nice to you. Today's question sponsored by... What would you do if your partner proposed to you after having a baby during a break? Share your opinion on Twitter and Instagram at Divorce Court. Divorce Court will be right back. Sometimes your surroundings can be choppy. Sometimes you're born into or live in an environment where there isn't a lot of steady married people, a whole lot of two-ness going on that's solid. And so what happens is you live amidst all that mess, and so there's always that, well, you're gonna hurt me over here, so I'm gonna go over there. There's no sense of being in a married state of mind. He hurt me, so that means I have to have a conversation with him. She hurt me, I have to have a conversation, as opposed to he hurt me, let me go see somebody else. You see what I'm saying? I think both of you are good people who love one another. When a dude comes in here and says to me, she changed how I lived, oh, that means you touched his soul. Now, having done that, you can't be cavalier about his heart. You can't be texting exes and all that kind of stuff. You got a good man who loves you, who changed his life for you. You got to respect that in all ways, shapes, and forms, and never do anything inappropriate. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
You a good dude, Mr. Muhammad. You love this woman. I think you got your heart broken, so you went out and did a dumb thing and made a life. Now make sure you're a father to that life that you made, because that baby is not at fault for anything.
No,
Don't let that ever happen again, though. I think you need to mature a little bit, both of you, so that when you're hurt, you don't act out, but enter into a conversation. Then you have an opportunity to make this marriage work. And I honestly think you do have an opportunity to make this marriage work. So I wish you the best. This matter is adjourned.
Judge Lynn says you guys gotta grow up. Do you think you'll take her advice today and move forward?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna take her advice. I'm not gonna do mischievous things to make him wonder what I'm doing, to wanna go look at my text messages.
Okay, was anything left unsaid today?
I didn't tell her I love her, so
You don't want to tell her that?
yeah, I'll tell her that.
Today on Divorce Court, today's couple is asking me to untangle an intricate web of lies, secrets, and deceit. They want to get married, but before they say any vows, they need to come clean and make some confessions that have never been spoken before. Until now.
Divorce Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lynn Toler presiding.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here today with Clyde Duncan and Wendell Brown. The two of you are here on a Before Your Vows. You've been together for a month and living together for 2 months, and you want me to tell you whether or not you should get married. But before we can do that, Mr. Duncan, you're already married.
Yes.
And you're in the process of getting divorced.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the ride that we're in for.
All right.
So as soon as you get a divorce, you want to marry Mr. Brown.
Yes, I do.
What do you see as impediments to you marrying Mr. Brown that would bring you here to talk to me today?
I'm here today because I need to first confess to my best friend, who's like my brother, that I'm not only dating his ex, but we plan to get married when I get a divorce. And I need to find out a way that we can all coexist because we live in the same household. And it's a lot of tension, and it's just driving me crazy.
Does he not suspect?
He knows that we're dating, but he doesn't know that that I want to get married to him. And I think that he's thinking that this is just
A dalliance.
temporary.
Yes.
Because he knows that I have a habit of moving on pretty quick.
And you're moving on from a husband right now.
Yes, ma'am.
It's only been 3 months, though. You made a bad decision about marriage before. What did you get right in this 90 days that you didn't get right the first time?
This is the best relationship I've ever had, is with Wendell. The connection is really good. And the issue with my husband is that his family was dead smack
In the middle of your relationship. I
Yes,
got you. I got you.
aggressively.
But his family isn't.
No.
No. And all 90 days have been good.
They have. We don't argue and fight, and he's very passive.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I think a little bit too passive.
Mr. Brown, I'm going to have trouble getting you to talk. Is it going to be that kind of day?
No, man, what's up?
Why in 90 days do you feel that Mr. Duncan is somebody you would want to marry? Because 90 days seems awfully short to me.
Well, we had that strong connection. It's like we there for each other.
Yep, he don't say much. Have you had this strong connection with anybody else before? I mean, the first 90 days are usually a rush whenever you're with somebody, you know. Aren't you still in the rush period?
Well, it's not in a rush.
You don't think so?
Oh.
No. What do you see as the biggest impediment to you two getting married?
I just ready to get that divorce so we can go ahead with
Yeah,
ours.
that's a problem. No doubt, no doubt. Are you concerned about Antonio's response to the fact that you two are serious about one another?
Yes, I am.
Let me ask you outright, Mr. Duncan. Antonio's been a part of your life for a long time, correct?
Yes.
Tell me about the depth of your relationship with him.
Antonio is closer to me than my own family. He's like my brother. Tony moved in with me and came to help me raise my kid. And he's given up 10 years of his life
For
helping
you
me
and
raise my kid.
Right.
And it's through everything, surgeries. I've been through a couple surgeries, I have heart issues. I've had so much going on medically. He goes to the doctors with me. He actually knows more of my information than I know. And he's taking care of me, literally. And I love him to death. And
Is he at all weirded out by you dating his ex?
I have asked him, and he just I'm all right. But
You don't think he cares?
I think he does, but he won't tell me that.
Right.
I think that he just doesn't want to upset me, so he won't say anything.
Won't say anything. Mr. Brown, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think Antonio has some misgivings about your relationship with him, or you think he's totally cool with it?
No, he's not cool with it at all.
And why do you say that?
Because he barely speaks while like I'm around and all kind of other stuff like that.
Oh, so you two aren't comfortable together?
That's why I mostly be upstairs in the room all the time. That's why I don't be downstairs like that.
Really?
If I may, I feel that him and Antonio need to have a conversation.
Right.
Because when I called Wendell on the phone, this before he was in South Carolina, and I called him on the phone, and I set Tony down for him to tell Tony how he felt about me.
Right.
And he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to have the conversation. And
He don't want to have any conversation.
And then I tried to, I told him and Tony both that, and I told him he needs to sit down with Tony and have a conversation. I feel like Tony really needs the closure with him. Because it was just like, okay, I'm done with you, I'm with him, but there was never...
There was never...
Yeah. And I know that, and I know Tony wants to know, like, how did this even happen?
Right.
You know, and it wasn't intentional at all. I was taken by surprise myself.
Well, I am going to facilitate that conversation because we do have Antonio here, and we will talk to him now.
I want to let you know that things with Wendell are getting really serious. And when I get a divorce, we plan to get married.
Mr. Brown, you're uncomfortable with confrontation of all sorts, aren't you? And it's difficult for you to talk to him at all. Are you uncomfortable now?
No, I'm not.
Why wouldn't you have the conversation?
Oh, because I'm always working.
Lies.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't believe it. Don't worry about it. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. Nick, could you bring out Antonio, please? Mr. Bennett, how are you?
I'm doing good.
We got a lot of tallness in here today. This is wonderful. I understand that all three of you live together.
Yes.
And that you used to date Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Duncan has something he wants to tell you.
Well, I want to let you know that things with Wendell are getting really serious. And when I get divorced, we plan to get married. Okay. But I wanted to talk to you about it. It's like there's so much tension, and I can even tell that our relationship has completely changed.
Right.
You know, like the distance, like we don't really communicate anymore. And it's like you weren't comfortable in your own home.
Right.
And I think that we just need to find some type of way that we can all coexist. You know, and I want you to be okay with this because I don't want to lose. You're my brother. And I don't want anything to come between us.
Mr. Bennett, let me ask you this. I'm sorry. That was very well stated, by the way, Mr. Duncan. Very well stated. Mr. Bennett, let me ask you this.
Yes.
You knew that we're in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're all living in the same house. You knew something was going on.
Yes.
Are you uncomfortable living there, given that you used to date him?
Not really. I'm just a little hurt. That's pretty much how.
Tell me why you're hurt.
The way the whole situation went down should have been, we're all adults, it should have been talked about. I should have never found out by a different way. I really found out on my own because I put two and two together. And
how did you put two and two together? What did you see or hear?
Just basically by when we moved into the new house and just the way they was acting.
Right.
And yeah, I put two and two together.
Are you cool with Mr. Brown?
A little bit. I'm still waiting for him to talk because he should have talked to me when I asked him a long time ago what was going on.
Right. Because you had a right to have that conversation.
Yes.
Because you had, you know, a special involvement with both of these gentlemen.
Right.
And he should have been man enough to step up and step in and give you that conversation. Yes, Mr. Duncan.
Well, in my defense.
Well, we were talking about Mr. Brown's
But in my
failures.
defense, I feel like something needs to be put out there because I don't want everybody looking at me like, damn, you really messed up person. It wasn't like that.
No.
You know, the thing about it is that they only talked on the phone. They had never met in person.
Right.
So now, had he had met him in person and they was, you know, clicked and was in a
I
relationship,
got
been
it.
together and stuff
Another
like
story.
that, I would have never went there. But it was just a phone conversation, you know, and I don't know, I was just confused myself because when Tony came to me and told me that he was gonna marry this guy and so forth, and I was like, well, you ain't met him yet. And I just kind of was like it, but then again, how can I speak? Because I married my husband within 30 days.
Right, yeah, and now you about to do it at 90, so ain't none of this making me sanguine, but okay. The next thing I'm gonna do is work my hardest to get a conversation out of you.
I should have told you, but it's like things wasn't working out really good.
Well, you two have always been friends, but have you ever had a relationship between the two of you?
Wow.
Would you ever pursue a relationship with your best friend's ex? Tell us what you think at Divorce Court.
All right, Judge Lynn, another viewer's question ready for your judgment call. My wife had a baby outside of our marriage during one of our separations. I feel like I don't have to take care of her child if we get back together. Is it wrong to feel that way?
Yes, indeed it is. Financially, you don't have an obligation to that baby, but what are you thinking about getting back to a woman and planning not to care for a child of her body? Today's question sponsored by Divorce Court will be right back. If you would like your case to be heard on Divorce Court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com. Missed the show? Watch full episodes on our streaming platforms, and for exclusive content, go to Apple TV. Mr. Brown, you seem like things are happening all about you, and you just gonna stay quiet and stay level and stay low and hope it blows past you. Now, this guy has a lot of verbiage, and we're gonna ask him not to say anything for the next few moments. Do you have anything you would like to say to Mr. Bennett?
Well, I'm sorry that it happened the way how it happened, but I should have told you, but it's like things wasn't working out really good.
When you say things weren't working out really good, you were only having a relationship over the phone. What could go wrong?
I was kind of skeptical because the conversations, it wasn't flowing right, anything like that.
Let me ask you this, and how did you have a phone relationship with this dude over here doesn't want to say more than 7 words at a time? Is he just uncomfortable in this environment, which I would understand completely,
Well,
but was he more...
He was more verbal than what he
Yeah.
is now.
Uh-huh.
Text-wise, too, so...
Oh, you that
Right.
generation?
Yes.
Right, so he was more verbal and text-wise.
I gotcha. Do you prefer to communicate by text than conversation?
I'll say both.
Are you just generally shy?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. And it's easier to do things that way because you don't have to confront all that agitation and frustration you get when you're in a conflict or an uncomfortable situation.
Yes,
True?
ma'am.
Are you really sure this is what you want to do? Nothing against you at all, but you seem like the kind of guy who has things happen to him. You know, that you're not the subject of the sentences, you're an object. Do you mean, are you sure? Have you made a conscious decision about what you want to do and where you want to go, or do you feel swept up in the moment?
No, but I'm comfortable with it. Because we just sit down and we had conversations and we was playing little things, how we gonna do it.
And then you gotta look at what he's getting.
Pardon me. Well, you two have always been friends, but have you ever had a relationship between the two of you?
Wow. Wow.
Yes? Long time ago.
Yeah.
You still got feelings for him?
As friends.
As friends?
Yes.
Are you guys still gonna all live in the same house together? I'm just saying, to me, that's fraught with danger.
Yeah, we're going to. That's my brother. He ain't going nowhere.
Right.
This is going to always be.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I have dated people before. They didn't like him. I got rid of them.
Oh.
There is nobody going to come between me and my brother. I don't. That's like.
Let me ask you this. If Mr. Bennett were to say to me, I am so uncomfortable with this relationship that I wouldn't be able to stay there, would you cut it loose? I'm gonna give you a moment to think about that. Today's question is sponsored by, what would you do if your partner put their best friend's feelings ahead of yours? Share your opinion on Twitter and Instagram at Divorce Court. Divorce Court will be right back. So I asked you if Mr. Bennett was so upset by this relationship, if you would end it. And your response is what?
Yes.
You would.
Yes.
Does it bother you to know that if Mr. Bennett was not comfortable with this relationship, that Mr. Duncan would end it?
Well, I know he wouldn't end it, but we all sit down and have a conversation to see if we can work things out.
So you think you can just sit down and work it out with a conversation?
It's gonna take time, but
It's gonna take time.
Well, you know, I just really want things to get better.
Right.
You know, like they shouldn't have to run a race to get away from each other.
Is it hard for you to be in the same house with him? He says there's an implied or unspoken rule that he needs to stay upstairs and not come downstairs. Is that accurate?
No, not at all.
Do you know why? Do you have any idea why he feels that way?
Because I really don't really say too much at all. I admit that part. I don't say hi. I don't interact with him at all.
So the vibe is off.
Right, the vibe is off.
So what would, is clearing the air enough for you to put the vibe right? I mean, the fact that we've talked about it, we've come out, you don't have to guess anymore. I mean, I know you knew, but nobody had the decency to say it to you. Now that it's been said, do you think that'll alter the vibe in the house?
A little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah, it's gonna take a little time.
It's gonna take some
Yeah.
time.
It's not gonna happen overnight, so.
Any jealousy on your part?
a little bit.
Any jealousy on your part? A little bit? No. How about you? Y'all the coolest group of people I ever met. I've never seen anything quite so messy, be quite so lighthearted.
I mean, but they get to live with me.
Yeah.
They have me around all
Listen.
day, every day.
I wish you all the best. The only thing I'm gonna say to the two of you is the same thing that I would say to any two people getting married after 90 days. What the heck are you thinking? 90 days, Attila the Hun is fun for 90 days. Anybody can be fun for 90 days. You got to know a person through a whole lot of stuff before you commit to happily ever. 60, 70 years down the road, there's a whole lot you don't know in 90 days. That's just my general thought on marriage in a short period of time. Take it for what it's worth. I know y'all aren't gonna listen to me. This matter is adjourned.
So we have 3 people in this relationship, 2 people getting married. How is this gonna work?
Now, since everything is out in the open, maybe now they would be able to actually talk to each other.
You think this could work out?
I guess? I really don't know.
Today on Divorce Court.
I'm at divorce court today because I want the judge to save my marriage.
When I first met John, he was sensitive, and now he is insensitive.
My biggest issue is I don't get no respect. I don't get the affection that I need from a marriage.
If John can't move forward, I have no idea what's gonna happen. John doesn't understand my health issues.
Melissa, I'm in this for the long haul. I'm here to stay. We'll get through this no matter what.
Divorce court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lynn Toler presiding.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with John Crescent and Melissa Crescent. The two of you have been together for 10 years, married for 2, but you're in trouble now, so you've come to see me. Mr. Crescent, I'm going to start with you. Tell me why you and your wife are in divorce court today.
Like any relationship, it's been a roller coaster.
Right.
And right now is to the point where we're like emotionally detached.
Okay.
There's no physicalness.
When did this start to happen? When did things start to fall apart?
Well, 6 years into the relationship, she came to me and said she might be pregnant.
Uh-huh.
So I ran and got a test, brought it back,
Right.
test. She was pregnant, and I was happy about it. I thought she was. We called her parents, we told them. And then a couple of days later, she was going to the doctor. I figured she's going to a prenatal doctor. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't. She was going to the other doctor.
Oh, to end the pregnancy.
Yeah. So
And did she
didn't tell me
discuss it about it? She didn't tell
Nope.
you?
I tried to call her, tried to text her. She wouldn't respond. She was doing it.
That was that.
That was that.
Mrs. Crescent, why don't you tell me your version of what happened?
That's not how the situation happened. We talked about what we were gonna do, and we explained to each other that we can't afford a baby right now.
Did you discuss that you
It might
weren't
have
able
been
to have
talked
the
about,
baby at the
but-
time?
It might have been talked about, but when she said she was going to the doctor, I thought she was just going to a doctor.
Well, how did the conversation in which you discussed the viability of having a child at the time, how
we
did
knew
that
It'd
end?
be rough, right now with money and everything, but I figured we'd handle it. I mean,
I don't
else does.
want to know what you figured. I want to know what was said. There's a difference.
I can tell you what was said.
What was said?
What was said was that I was high risk for having another baby. When I had my first daughter, I got a blood clot in my leg, and
was
I'm a
explained to me
certain
afterwards.
age. No, this is before. I was a certain age, and I wasn't going to go through that again. It was a health reason. I wasn't going to go through all that.
You don't recall hearing any of that?
afterwards, I remember that.
Afterwards, you remember that, but you
Afterwards.
might have been told beforehand.
Not the part of her health-wise, no.
Uh-huh. Did you know about the first pregnancy and the complications?
Somewhat, but not really.
Not really?
I heard about it, but
You know what I see when I look at you? I see words just streaming over in your direction, just skipping over the top of your head and continuing on over there. I think people tell you things and you don't grasp, or at least she tells you things and you don't hang on
be.
to it. You know what I mean? You're not really listening.
got my mind set on something else.
Something else, and you've decided what it is, and you don't really hear what she says.
Could be.
Did I get that right?
Yes.
Do you think he still harbors resentment about that?
Yes, I do.
What makes you say that?
Because he throws it in my face every day.
I do not.
Almost every day. When we
do
fight,
not.
it gets brought up.
I do not.
Does it happen when? Do you bring it up when you fight?
I don't even remember the last time that was said.
But it's said.
Do you remember the last time it was said?
Probably a month ago.
A month ago.
No way.
Have you ever brought it up in the heat of an argument?
Maybe.
Maybe.
It might have been said.
It might have been said.
Yeah. Something might have been said.
You know what I see? I see words coming out of his mouth, and he's not altogether sure which ones they are, and they drift away into the ozone, and he never quite knows what got out. Tell me, when, even after all this, you decided to get married, right?
Yes.
But before that, at some point, she just ran off and disappeared?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Like a year later, she just didn't come home. But she's done it before, where she's out with her friends or casinos and, gone for a couple days, and that's usually what it was, but this time it was different. This time when she came home with someone else's vehicle, and we got into another, argument about it, and then she just disappeared.
So you just don't trust her, and you have your reasons.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the things she's done
I trust
make
her
you
now,
feel...
but this is still in the back of my mind of what's people are capable of doing. So
Right, I got you. Mrs. Crescent, did you walk off without explanation? And
No.
if so, why?
We were breaking up. I was moving out. And I needed another friend's vehicle to get all my things that were outside on the lawn for a moving sale that somebody decided to put outside for me.
You put your
No.
stuff. You put her stuff on the lawn.
when she left for a couple days. When she came back, it was with a different vehicle, with some guy who was married, and about 2 weeks later, I put her stuff out on the lawn and told her stuff's out on the lawn to come get it. Because she wouldn't talk to me. I tried to call her, tried to talk to her, nothing for 2 weeks.
That happened.
Then I put her stuff on the
Yep.
lawn.
Yeah.
And he burned my jeans in the fire pit.
But you were gone for 2 weeks, went off with some other guy, and you can imagine him being a little
Yeah,
huffed off
it
about it. I
wasn't-
mean, it's never right to destroy
It wasn't.
stuff.
That wasn't how it happened. It wasn't. I was gone for 2 weeks and come back with a truck. No, that's not how it happened.
Yeah, it was.
No,
But were you off with somebody else? Be honest.
I was off with a friend.
At
that-
the time, it was a friend. Later on, it was told that
It was a boyfriend.
it was different.
Did you cheat on him?
She don't consider it cheating because
After I
we
moved
weren't
out.
together.
Yeah. So you were on a break.
Yep.
Yeah.
I hate that word. Just hate it.
But we got over it.
Yeah. Apparently, because later
Yeah.
on you married her.
3 months later, after no talking, no contact, basically whatsoever, she came to me. We always went to casinos on
Right.
special days like Christmases, holidays. Well, Thanksgiving came up. She wanted to go to the casino. She called me up. We went to the casino. We started talking. About a month later, she ended up moving back in. And then I had a vacation coming up. I was going to Vegas. I said, "You want to go get married and continue what we were doing?" She agreed.
Well, you guys are going to have to explain to me how that happened. From you go from burning her stuff in the lawn to marrying her in a couple of months. We got to figure out what went into that and if you still really trust her. I sense a coldness about you in his direction. I sense a lack of care and not really liking him. You don't really like him, do you? Mr. Crescent, I ask if you really do trust her because she wrote in her paperwork that she believes you're trying to control her. And what happens is when people who don't trust other people, they try to control them. Do you actually trust her?
Now I trust her because I guess I was controlling to the point where I wasn't going to let nothing happen again. I was looking for all the signs that she was doing something wrong.
Right.
But in the last, year and a half or so, she's proven that she
It's
had-
gotten better?
It's gotten better.
Gotten better.
right.
Mrs. Crescent, do you believe he's still trying to control you?
Yes and no.
Tell me what he's doing that makes you uncomfortable.
Right now, we have, he has a phone bill on his phone to where he can see who I call and who calls me and who I text message every day. He has access to look at it. So if I need a ride to work, I need to call a friend of mine, he knows about it. And it might happen to be a guy friend. Well, he knows a guy friend. He shouldn't have a problem, but he still, says, he makes his comments, "Oh, you called your boyfriend, you had to call this person or that person." I don't need to hear that. Just because you have the vehicle and I have to call a friend, you shouldn't give me static about who I call.
Do you give her static about who she calls?
Sometimes, yeah.
So you kind of don't trust her.
No, I trust her. I trust her.
Well, what's the static about? Just something to do?
No, she's just mad because well, ever since she found out that I could see the phone bill and see who she calls, she don't use that no more. She don't do it that way. She does it a different way.
Okay. Mr. Crescent, you say she doesn't love you the way you want her to. What do you mean by that?
Like, the only time she'll kiss me is if I drop off to work. That's about it. That is it. Other than that, there is nothing else involved.
Well, if you go through what I go through every day, why would you want to be lovey-dovey with somebody?
What is it you go through?
I go through headache. Right now, we just found out in April that I have MS.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
I'm going through a lot of things right now with the medicine, with my, numbness and stuff. It's just, and I go to work every day still.
I've known some people with MS, and it can have different varying degrees. Some of it is very debilitating. Sometimes it can be painful. Do you believe that the absence of romance or loving coincided with her getting MS, or do you believe
I think it
there
has
are other reasons?
something to do with it, but yet it's been going on before that.
Right.
It's been going on for a while now.
Yeah. I get what you're saying, especially if you're talking about sex and stuff. You just don't feel particularly sexual when you're in pain or you're frightened or all that. But I think he's also talking about a lack of affection, hugging and holding, which I don't think would be precluded by that. I don't know.
Right, but
you see what I'm saying?
When you're going through, you know, the name calling and, you know, all the hate and, you know, bringing up the past and throwing things in my face, I don't want to be like that with you.
How often does he call you names? What kind of things does he say?
You know, he's quick to say that, you know, call me the B word, you know, the C word. You know, when we fight, it's all I hear.
Well,
you know?
How often do you fight?
We fight daily.
Do you guys fight daily?
Mm-hmm.
What are you fighting about? Do you know?
The past. And not
But
the...
let him answer. He takes a minute to get there, but we're gonna let him. We're gonna let him answer. What do you think you're fighting about every day?
I don't even know what we fight about every day.
Give me a for instance.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. It's just sometimes we just don't get along some days.
I got something.
Okay. Well, hang on to that, because we're gonna try to figure out why it is you are actually fighting.
You know, my mom passed away. On her birthday, I wanted to go to the graveyard. She said, "You're not gonna get all emotional, are you? Well, you're a crybaby."
What would you do if your spouse refused to forgive and forget your past mistakes? Tell us what you think at Divorce Court. Today's question sponsored by Divorce Court will be right back. If you would like your case to be heard on Divorce Court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com. Missed a show? Watch full episodes on our streaming platforms, and for exclusive content, go to Apple TV. Mrs. Crescent, why do you believe you're actually fighting?
Because there's not enough affection. That's why he fights with me, because I don't give him what he wants. I don't give him the sex every day he wants. Really, I'm 42 years old. Right now, I'm not, you know, I don't feel that pretty to be doing everything you want me to do, and I'm sorry,
So is it a sex thing or an affection thing?
The lack of sex, yeah.
Both.
Lack of sex, both.
Yep.
Do you talk to her about it every day?
I do.
So that's what you're fighting about.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You know, Mr. Chris, I don't think you're paying attention.
She don't even pay me any attention. She won't even. She walk by and not even look at me, not even look my way. She'll talk to me without looking at me.
And what's wrong with that? We live in the same house. I'm in the other room. He's like, "You're blowing me off."
I sense a coldness about you in his direction. I sense a lack of care. And I think the illness is one thing, but you're not really liking him.
No.
Can I tell you something?
Let me get to the... You don't really like him, do you?
After all this time, he just makes me so mad. I love him, but he makes me mad, and that mad trumps that love. Oh, mad trumps that love.
What are you mad about?
Just all the things he's done in the past to me.
Give me some examples.
He burned my clothes, you know.
I heard that one already.
What's some things he's just... There's so many things, but you got me on the spot right now. Oh.
Well, he wants to say something. Get it together.
Something.
Okay, go ahead.
I got something. Friends were over, and they wanted to know his friends, which should be my friends too, but friends were over, wanted to know what was going on with me with my sickness. He said, you know, enough with the MS already. Really? They wanted to know what was going on, and he's got that kind of comment?
It wasn't all like that.
It wasn't like that?
It wasn't all like that.
It wasn't like... What was it like?
I don't even remember who she's talking about. But
But that's your problem, though. That's you.
It wasn't like that.
That's you. What did you want to say to me before? I interrupted
you. Said that she's cold. Yeah, she is cold. You know, my mom passed away.
Uh-huh.
On her birthday, I wanted to go to the graveyard. Told her to come with me. She said, "You're not going to get all emotional, are you?" I'm like, "It's my mom's grave. What do you think?" "Well, you're a crybaby." I said, "Really?" And she didn't go. I had to go by myself.
Did that conversation
We didn't talk
occur?
about 3 days after that.
That conversation occurred. I just assumed he'd go by himself, have his time with his mom.
You're supposed to be there for me.
But if he asked you to go,
And he knew when he asked me that right then and there,
I did
wasn't
too.
ready to
I
go.
knew you
then.
wouldn't go with me.
He can see what's going on, and he knows it'd start a fight, and that's probably what he wanted to begin with, is me not to go. So he starts a
No,
fight.
I always hoped that you would.
what made you believe that she wouldn't? But right before you asked her,
I know how she is. I know how she is. I just knew she wouldn't do it.
So why even ask? Just go.
if there's one thing I could get him to give you to chip some of that ice off, what would it be? What does he need to change?
Not to just not to. I mean, he knows I love him, but I mean, why do you got to be all, why do you need all that affection and all that? I mean,
Because I like it. Just a hug, just a kiss now and then.
I
Out of
got
the blue
it.
for no reason.
it isn't. Yeah, but it's every minute,
It's not every minute.
if heaven forbid if I'm doing laundry or something and it takes me a little bit longer because I'm doing it right and I'm not just throwing the stuff wherever.
I think I see what's happening here. Let me tell you what I think I see. Today's question sponsored by, what would you do if your spouse refused to show you love and affection? Share your opinion on Twitter and Instagram at Divorce Court. Divorce Court will be right back. There's sex and there's affection. I don't know what really happened in the past 10 years, but you are over him. You love him, but he gets on your last nerve. You don't like him anymore, and that lack of like shows up. I always tell guys, 5-minute foreplay. You can tell somebody and make somebody feel love 5 minutes a day, a peck on the cheek here, a hug there, this and that. And I don't think you're looking to do any of that because you just don't feel that way towards him anymore. What do you think?
I think you're right.
If you really want her, you can't bludgeon her into becoming affectionate. You have to give her what she needs and extend yourself and be kind and loving and thoughtful to her in a chance that it might work. I don't know if it will or not because we got a big block of ice over there.
That's right, I'll chip at it.
Yeah, but you have to, if what you're doing isn't working, which is getting mad at her, calling her the C word and the B word, 100 nice words, and then you pop out with that C word, kind of erases it all. If you're kind to her and loving, and you've done everything, before you call this marriage a day, I want you to be able to sit down and sit back and say, I did every friggin' thing I could think of to make this happen. I was kind. I left no stone unturned. And if she's still icy and frosty, then you can walk away feeling good about what you tried to do. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because you're the one that wants it to change. You're the one that's got to change. I know sometimes it can get dark in a marriage. And I think it got dark for you. If he can turn the lights back on, maybe you can find your way to enjoy your marriage again. Do you understand what I'm saying? Things can change. Things can change. They're not obligated to change, but he wants them to change. And just be open to the possibility. That's all I'm saying. And I wish you well with your medical issues. This matter is adjourned.
How do you plan to step up here?
I'm not over it completely. Like she said, if he could just try a little harder, and I'll be there to try to.
Do you think the advice that Judge Lynn gave her kind of got through?
Yeah. We got a lot to work on.
Right.
But we're not going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be together.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Today on Divorce Court, Today's plaintiff is very worried about the secret texts her fiancé regularly receives on his locked phone at 3 a.m. every morning. After a 5-month engagement, she wants to mail out their wedding invitations. But before the vows, she needs to know who is this mysterious sender and what does she want?
Divorce court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lynn Toler presiding.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here today with Laniqua Lazenby and Euless Tolliver. The two of you are engaged to be married, but you're not quite sure it's the thing to do, so you've come to me on a before your vows. You have been together for 10 months, engaged for 5 of them. You don't have any children together, although you do have children from previous relationships. You've given me a compatibility test, which I thought were very thoughtful, and you've also given me your marriage license with permission to tear it up should I find that your union is ill-advised. Ms. Lazenby, I'm going to start with you. Why don't you tell me why you love him, but you're not quite sure you want to marry him?
I wanted to marry Euless originally off the strength of, he came to me and presented himself as a very religious person. I was trying to turn over a new leaf in my life, so I was trying to go down a different path, and I felt like he fit within that realm. But you know, we went out on a lot of dates. He used to take me out on dates a lot and, you know, do a lot of together time. But I guess the time that we spent so much together, it pushed us apart.
Well, tell me about that first date, because I thought that was awfully interesting.
Well, our first date, we actually went to the bowling alley. We tried to color coordinate and dress together.
On your first date?
On our first date.
Why color coordinate on the first date?
I don't know. I just thought it was cute. I'd never done it before, but
Did you think that was weird?
No. I agreed to it.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. Weren't you with another woman, though, when you met? On another date?
Originally, when we went out, my homeboy, he went out with his girl. She had her friend with her, so I went with them. I went. He invited me to come, so I was there. And like me and her, we didn't have anything going on.
Gotcha.
I went there to meet her.
I gotcha. Why aren't you sure Mr. Tolliver is the man for you? I mean, he actually twin clothes the first date. I mean, I've been married 30 years. My husband would not do that today.
Well, the reason why I feel like we probably shouldn't get married, it's been, you know, instances of things that seem like he's infidelity, like he's cheating on me.
Tell me a story that would make me believe that he is.
Okay, he went out with one of his cousins, and, you know, he came back about 7 o'clock in the morning. I was okay with him going out. It made me feel a little leery because I'm used to being around him all day, every day. And when he decided to do it, it was kind of spur of the moment. He didn't let me know ahead of time. He just kind of did it. He up and decided he wanted to do it.
Were you living together at the time?
Yes. Mm-hmm. The next day, I see that he was in touch with a girl about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, asking her where she's at, calling her. So I asked him, you know, who she was, and he just basically told me, like, oh, she's just a friend I used to go to school with. Everybody on our block was cool with everybody, so it's nothing to it.
Okay, let me give Mr. Tolliver an opportunity to respond to that and then tell me what he believes is the biggest problem in your relationship. Mr. Tolliver, what happened when you came home at 7 a.m.?
It wasn't 7 a.m. when I came home. It was probably about, I would say about maybe about 3:30. Mm-hmm. Because like basically what it was, so I went to the party, and so the party was dead. So I left the party. And then I went. It was this club called. Club.
Don't call. You know,
okay.
It was just a club.
Okay, it was this club that I went to, and I was there for about an hour and a half. So now it was probably about like 1:30 or something like that. So
where did the other woman come in?
She was with some other people. So I jumped in the car. I dropped my car off, and I jumped in the car with them.
I got it. It doesn't sound like a cheat situation. It sounds like kind of just like people just rolling about at nighttime.
Well, that's my problem, though. Like, if he... I guess my thing is I'm considerate enough to say if I'm going to make a move, I would at least communicate that with you, especially knowing that...
What would you have liked to have known?
I would have liked to have known that at least that you were going to hang out with another female.
Just let me... Well, I don't think that's what happened. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not a gender-segregated society.
Okay.
He was going out with his boy. There was some chicks there.
Okay. Well, there's another instance.
Well, tell me what that
What
is.
about this time? Okay, this is just past weekend. After all this has, been going on, and he decides he wants to go to a get-together with his female cousin. Now, mind you, a lot of these people, he doesn't really talk too much. He doesn't really hang out. They don't really check on him, see how it's going, and then all of a sudden you just want to jump up and go hang out with them. Due to the fact that we didn't have our vehicle anymore and he ended up getting there a different way, he didn't have a way back home. So he stayed the night out. Okay, I understood that. I didn't even make a fuss about it until later on.
Y'all tell really long stories with a lot of detail. My understanding is you have what you believe is evidence that he is cheating.
Yes.
Can I see that?
Yes, I do. And
I got details and who went who and whose car they were in, and I don't need to know all that.
Those are the messages between him and the girl that he hung out with originally.
Well, they're talking about you, saying, I hope they can clear it up. Like, if she feels like, you misunderstood the situation. It wasn't like, hey, baby, sexy. I get people in here give me evidence somebody got their situation on the paper. Mm-hmm. It seems pretty innocuous to me. Do you think she's jealous for no reason?
When we met, I was the type of person that I was like, I know that I was looking at other women and things like that, but that came from previous relationships as well. Like, because nowadays, when you're in a relationship, like the women, they'll look at the woman first and be like, you see her? And things like that. So, and
he think that's okay, and then you carry that into the relationship over here.
Is that what happens nowadays, Nick? That the women point out to other women?
I haven't heard of that. No.
Oh, I'm so old. Let me ask you this. She says that you keep looking at other women. Is that true even when you're together?
It was, at first, it was an unconscious thing. Once she pointed it out to me, then I...
You pulled it together. You pulled it together. I got you on that issue. I want to go on to the next issue. You've only been together 10 months and you're not married yet, but you say there is a problem with intimacy, so much so that you are now sleeping in separate rooms. That's what I want to talk about. We talk a lot about religion, and then the next thing I know, there's a statement about light-skinned porn stars. Why do you believe that he's obsessed with light-skinned porn stars? Mr. Tolliver, I'm going to start with you. I understand that you sleep in separate rooms now and that there isn't a lot of intimacy, even though we're not married yet. What's up with that?
It originated from the trust issues and everything. Mm-hmm. It originated from that, and I believe that that's one of the issues, the reason why there is not a lot of intimacy going on.
When you say not a lot, what do you mean?
In the beginning, it was 100%. Now it's probably about 40%.
Ms. Lazenby, what is your point of view about the issue of intimacy?
Well, I feel like once a person tells me that if they can't commit to God fully, then they feel like they won't fully commit to me. And if you know that, then what's the point of me giving you? What's the point of me giving you?
Now,
my
we
body?
backed into church without my knowledge.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's a very good issue. He's a religious guy, correct?
On and off.
On and off. But he is contending to you that it's difficult to commit to you because you're not as committed to the church and religion as he is? Is that what you're telling me?
No, it's got something, he says it has something to do with me not basically holding his hand along the way, which I kind of get that, but you were already there and you already had that established before I came along. And it kind of helped and pushed me, into going that road. And once we got into our issues, and he proposed to me at the church. So for me to constantly go back to the church and pretend like things were fine between us, I felt like I couldn't do it. So that's why I backed away from going. But because I backed away from going, that didn't mean he had to back away as well.
Mr. Tolliver, what is your point of view about her commitment to the life and faith that you would like to lead?
I feel like that once I leave away from the church, like I lose focus on everything. So if I'm not, like a lot of times I'm not focused on God, it's a lot of things that I'm not really focused on.
And what does that have to do with her?
It has nothing to do with her, but my whole reason for even wanting to get married and everything was because it was because I loved her, but at the same time, it was because I wanted that relationship with God as well.
Mm-hmm. My My understanding is you were celibate for 3 months. Was that a function of your belief that your faith did not allow for sex before marriage?
No, it was something that we agreed to do. Like we talked about
you talked
this.
about it, but is she not doing it?
It's not that she's not we're not doing it.
Oh.
It's the both of us.
Oh. Is that accurate, Ms. Lazenby?
Yes and no. Like he would, you know, pursue sex more than me. And then when I do address the fact that, oh, you know, we're supposed to be doing this and we're supposed to be doing that, it's like, oh, well, we already did this day, or we already did that this day. And it's like, it's like the focus of him
he's all
really
down
doing
for
it.
the religious commitment until it gets night, until
it's time.
Is that true?
No, because I don't like. If you used to having sex all the time, like being that like I'm working on building my relationship back, like in the church and everything, I feel like that's where the strength come from. And I feel like I feel like, because we haven't been to church in probably about, I'm gonna say 2 months. Mm-hmm. So being that we haven't been to church, like the strength that when I talked about this celibacy thing, we was going to church.
I'm with you. It took me a minute to get there, but I'm with you. I understand that. Now, I want to find out why you believe he's obsessed with light-skinned porn stars. You have to put yourself on a daily basis in a position where the word can reach you. And light-skinned porn stars ain't it. Nothing wrong with it. They may be religious themselves, but that's not why you're looking at them. How would you feel if your partner wanted to abstain from sex until marriage? Tell us what you think at Divorce Court. Today's question sponsored by Divorce Court. Will be right back. If you would like your case to be heard on Divorce Court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com. Missed the show? Watch full episodes on our streaming platforms, and for exclusive content, go to Apple TV. You know, your papers confused me, and I'm now even more confused. We talk a lot about religion, and then the next thing I know, there's a statement about light-skinned porn stars. Why do you believe that he's obsessed with light-skinned porn stars?
Because, like, going through the history of, like, what he doesn't watch it on a regular basis, but when he does, that's what he's looking at. You're looking at women that don't look like me. So I feel like that is something that you desire. You're looking for things that are not me.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Tolliver,
do you
care to
prefer
respond to that?
light-skinned women?
You know what? To answer that, like I be on Facebook a lot, and these and people like it was this one thing to where the guys had like who's the best porn star and all of that right there. So I don't know none of these people.
So you researched it so he can answer. How does that help?
I don't know none of these people, so I'm looking it up. I'm like, let me see.
Because you need to be in the know.
Yeah.
You can't discuss it if you haven't seen it.
I know.
But why, if you're trying to go this route, why do you need to discuss it? Especially on social media where everybody
It's a good question. Good question. Answer that question.
People were saying, like, this person the best, this person the best, this person. I'm like, I don't know none of these people.
But you want to.
I don't want to know them. I want to see who they was.
Mr. Tolliver, let me say this to you. You want to get closer to God, open up the Bible and not Facebook. Ain't nothing wrong with Facebook. But, you know, you have to put yourself on a daily basis in a position where the word can reach you. And light-skinned porn stars ain't it. Nothing wrong with it. They may be religious themselves, but that's not why you're looking at them. You with me on that?
Yes.
Last issue I want to talk about, you say he's financially unstable, and that, too, makes you worried about whether or not you should marry. Tell me about that.
He doesn't put the priorities of priorities first when it comes to finances. Like,
give me an example.
He'd rather go, say, for instance, if he's having a tough day or things get rough, and you get some money, the first thing you want to do, even though you know that there are bills that need to be paid, you'd rather go and probably, like, get a drink or something to ease your emotions, or, oh, I'm feeling lucky. Let me go ahead and buy a lottery ticket or 5 lottery tickets and play the number like 20 times. Like, I mean, I guess, and doing it in hopes to probably get some money, but you're losing out
it's
more
not a
than you're
responsible
gaining.
way to go about it. Mr. Tolliver, what do you have to say about that? Do you believe that's true?
Yes.
You get points for honesty. I really do appreciate that. Tell me what your point of view is on that.
Yes, I do go and buy my drinks and everything, but at the same time, she'll go buy her bottle of wine and everything, and then maybe about 2 packs of cigarettes a week, things like that. So I would say I get 65% of the blame. She get 35.
Self-aware. Ms. Lazenby, what do you have to say about that?
My thing is, like, even if I do decide I want to give me a bottle of wine, it's if I have the money left to do that. It's not something that I would do.
You don't take care of that before you take care of the rent.
That's not how I do it.
I got you. Ms. Lazenby, Ms. Tolliver, I got thoughts, issues, and opinions, and I'm about to share them with you. Today's question sponsored by... What would you do if you were having doubts, but your wedding invitations had already gone out? Share your opinion on Twitter and Instagram at Divorce Court. Divorce Court will be right back. Ms. Lazenby, Mr. Tolliver, I like the both of you. I don't think he's cheating on you. I think he's just a little bit immature, and he has no impulse control. He says he has these goals, but he's doing nothing to further it. He just wants them to fall in his lap while he's out there chasing whatever enjoyment or immediate gratification that he's looking for. You have a maturity issue. You need to grow up. You need to become more responsible. You need to be able to delay your gratification. And if you want a closer relationship to God, you have to do those things that will get you there and just not expect to happen on its own. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that's not what you're doing. And you have an excuse for all of the reasons why you're not getting where you're going, but the answer's in your bathroom mirror. That you simply choose not to do it in the moment because you can't resist what you want to do in the moment. And a grown man and a married man needs to be able to resist what he wants to do in the moment. I read your compatibility test. It came across as mature, self-aware. Your thing is, you don't know how to get him where he's going. You don't get angry with people who you're trying to redirect. You don't get frustrated. You don't get back at them. You serve as a teacher. And if you want that church thing to happen, you go and tell him to come with you. Don't wait on him. You're ahead of him. It might have been his idea in the first place, but you're more mature and you're more able to fight your immediate desires and delay gratification. Therefore, you become his teacher until he can get where you're going. Don't get mad because he ain't there. You know where he is.
Right.
You like him or you don't like him.
Right.
If you like him, if you don't like where he is, lead him elsewhere. But don't just get mad because that's like, somebody getting mad at me every morning because I'm 5'1". Nothing I can do about it. Nothing I can do about it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I think you're a good couple. I think you're intelligent people. I think you're thoughtful people. I just think you are far too immature. And I would wait. I'm not going to tear up your marriage license. I'm just going to slide it over here, put it in a book, and take it with me when I go. Okay. Best of luck to the both of you. This matter's adjourned.
So how do you feel about Judge Lynn Toller's advice today about holding off, kind of pushing that marriage to the side?
I think it was a good decision for us to hold off because like she said, until he's able to mature and I'm able to, mature, I guess, myself a little bit to where I feel like I can help guide him, then there's no need for us to go ahead and rush into it.
Judge Lynn called you extremely immature today. What are your thoughts about that assessment?
I think it's accurate in a way because I think I could be more responsible, like when it comes to money, and more responsible when it comes to the things I want to do versus the things I need to do.
today on Divorce Court. Friends and family think they're an odd couple, but these two fell in love fast and got married even faster. Now, sex, lies, and disappearing acts are causing them to close the door on any hope of working out their differences. But how did it get so bad so soon? Let's find out.
Divorce Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lynn Toler presiding.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have Brian Williams and Jordan Williams. Mr. and Mr. Williams, you've been married for 2 years. You do not want to be married anymore. In fact, you have separated, and this is the first time you've seen each other or spoken to each other in weeks. You originally wanted to save our marriage, but now you just don't want to be married anymore. I'm going to call you Brian and Jordan so you'll know who I'm talking to. And so, Brian, I'm going to start with you. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your marriage and what's brought you to divorce court today?
Yes, ma'am. Jordan and I met in December 2015. We actually didn't even meet to date or anything. I just ended a relationship where someone cheated on me pretty aggressively. So I kind of just wanted to go
have some fun.
Exactly. But when I got around him, I liked him and I hung around him a little bit more, which kind of got me engulfed in Jordan and who he was. We got engaged, I want to say August of 2016. And due to complications with friends and such, we ended up getting eloped. So everything kind of started off as it was. We had already lived together for quite some time as well. And then little things started to pop up. I had already had trust issues, so trying to open up.
What's the first thing that popped up?
Not knowing any of his friends.
So tell me a circumstance where you found that you're not knowing his associates caused a problem. Tell me an actual story.
Well, there was this one time we were living together. I want to say it was before we got married. He was working at a local convenience store and had a friend that he told me he had knew from his hometown, and they had reconnected. And the friend seemed okay at the beginning. I met them or whatnot. And this friend ended up calling up to his job and causing a ruckus where some things were stolen and things like that, ultimately making Jordan lose his job. Now, we had that the night before he lost his job, the friend had asked if they can stay over because they didn't have any place to go. Trying to push responsibility away, I let Jordan make the decision if his friend could stay over that night. But he also asked if his cousin could come over as well. I said no on that because I didn't know that person.
Right.
Later that evening, I got woken up to not only Jordan's friend's voice, but also his friend's cousin's voice. They were yelling. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. So
Jordan, do you have unruly friends? And do you bring them around without permission? Well, not permission, but bring them around even though you know he was uncomfortable with it?
I bring my friends around just so I can have someone around. The fact that he was unruly, I was actually trying to get him to stop being unruly. I kept saying the entire night, can you lower your voice? Can you lower your voice? Can you not be so loud because he's back there sleeping? I tell people this because I'm like, I know how he is. I know how people are when they're tired. Like when he's tired, he wants to hear nothing, no lights, no noise, no nothing. And I'm very respectful of that. I will sit up and tell people, don't do this, don't do that. He's in there sleeping. When anybody comes to visit me or anything, I tell them, do not be so loud. He is trying to sleep and he has to work.
Why do you think this marriage is ending?
I feel as if we rushed into this way too early. I feel as if we didn't give enough time to date. I feel there was no strong foundation, nothing.
Tell me something he's done or does that bothers you.
Brian will sit up and go to his office and not say anything to me. He's done this a plethora of times, and I've had to tell him many times that you do this. And it's almost like I'm just playing the same record over and over again. And he does it a lot. Whenever he comes in from work, he will sit up, go to the bedroom, change clothes, come out of the bedroom, go to his office, straight there, not a word to me or anything. And he'll be in there for the entire night.
Mr. Brian, did you not pay attention to your husband when you got home?
When I come home, I do say hello to him. I used to ask how his day was, but he told me that he doesn't like to explain it to me because he doesn't like my reaction. He says I sound like a manager when I'm...
Well, what kind of things does he do during the day that upsets you? Give me a story.
The most recent would be my birthday. I was going to stop by a place where he worked at to pick up some stuff for the people that worked for me. I was inquiring with him if I received a discount or not, and he let me know he needed to check with somebody. So I get there, I go in, he's not there. So I called him because I'm like, okay, well, where is he? He told me that he fell asleep. He pulled over the side of the road, he was tired, so he went to sleep. So me being how I am, I started to ask more questions. I needed clarity, I need to understand. He told me he went down a certain route, pulled over, so I said, okay, well, what's around you? What do you see? Tell me a building that surrounds you.
Right.
He threw out some building name or whatnot, and I said, okay. So I left my work bags at home, so I went back home, and I didn't see him along the way, because I kind of backtracked. And I used Facebook to see where he was to me, and he wasn't where he said he was compared to where I was. I went home, I left home and went the opposite route. And when I went the opposite route, he was closer to me. And going that closer method, the only person that I know of that he knows was one of his friends that he was always hanging around. And I called him out on it, and he told me, well, I lied to you because I knew you was gonna get upset about me going there early in the morning. It was like 6 in the morning, and he had to be work at 7. And he told me he lied to me about that because he didn't want to hurt my feelings. And after that, that was my birthday was on a Wednesday. We didn't talk for 4 days.
Did you do that, Mr. Williams?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Why were you over there at 6 o'clock in the morning?
I went over there really to talk to him because, like I told him, I said, I work 2 jobs. I have to work my second job tonight. It's Brian's birthday. What am I gonna do? Because I can't even spend time with the person that I love on his birthday, and he was able to do that for me. So being the emotional person that I am, because I don't always just think, I just go into an emotional state, I didn't know what to do. I got down on myself. I said, I'm just really not the best husband in the world because I can't even call off from one job because I have to sit up, I just can't do it. I can't call off from work because I have to work that night. I have to work almost every single day. So me not being there for him, it made me feel some type of way. Because he's always there for me. He was there for me on my birthday, so why can't I be there for him?
Okay.
And I got down about that.
I get what you're saying. I'm gonna move on. Somebody pulled a gun on somebody. I wanna know when, why, who, where, and what happened. George, what's up with that friend? Why so much time with him and not your husband?
Because whenever I make friends, I always sometimes put my friends before everyone else.
So, Brian, do you want to tell me about the gun issue?
Yeah, I can tell you what I know. So
He'll tell you, and then he's going to have to fill in the rest.
He was with the same friend. This was before my birthday. It was like 11 o'clock at night. Jordan said, hey, I'm going to hang with my friend. I said, okay. In my mind, I was thinking, well, y'all can just hang out here. I don't understand why y'all got to go somewhere at 11 o'clock at night. I didn't know where he was going at all. I get a call maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. He's frantic saying, I almost died. And being as sensational as he is, I thought somebody almost hit his car. So I'm like, okay, you all right. But then he goes into telling me that somebody pulled a gun on him. So I'm like, okay, well, where are you? What's going on? Tell me what's going on. He was like, well, I'm at this park, and me and my friend were sitting here, and somebody pulled a gun up on us, and they was banging on the window. I don't know what they said, what was going on, and then they just left. After that, like, he's like, okay, I know I need to tell you, this is the reason why I need to tell you where I'm going, why I'm doing what I'm doing, because if something would have happened, you would not have known something happened to me. So the next day, I'm texting him at work, checking on him. Are you okay? How are things going? He's like, I'm not having a good day. I might leave work early. I'm like, okay, let me know. I'll leave work early, too. I do leave work a little bit earlier. He didn't tell me he was leaving early, but I left work a little earlier. I get home. I'm waiting on him. What can I do to console Jordan and make him feel better for the day, right? So some time come by, he's not home. I'm like, okay, well, where are you? You're usually home by now.
Was he with that friend?
He was with that friend. He took him, he said, I'm taking him to the mall to get his check. I'm like, well, why didn't you say something to me? All I asked you is just tell me.
Jordan, what's up with that friend? Why so much time with him and not your husband?
Because whenever I make friends, I always sometimes put my friends before everyone else. With him, I feel like sometimes I do need to try to make friends because I don't like to be in the house as much. I'm not a full homebody.
He's a homebody and you're not, so you need somebody to run with, is what you're telling me.
Because sometimes I think he don't want to go anywhere. If I try to suggest something to do or to go somewhere, yeah, he's open to it, but that doesn't mean that he wants to go.
Are you boring?
We're 8 years apart. I'm 8 years his senior. I do like to stay home. However, with what I do for a living, I don't like to come home and be in charge of stuff. So I've told Jordan, if you want to do something, say, Brian, this is what I want to do. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing, period.
But
and I'll be
also,
fine
when I brought up for something for us to do, what did you do? You denied it, and then you brought up something else, which made me feel like, okay, well, when I say something, it just doesn't get cared for. Like, that's why I never suggested anything.
I'm not going to just shut down. I want you to come. Okay, no, that's fine. This is what we're going to do.
But if you suggest something else, what do you want me to do? I'm not going to fight with you. I'm not going to argue with you. I just give in because there's no use. I've done this with everybody else. Anytime I try to suggest something for us to do and someone else brings up, okay, well, why don't we just do this? I'm just like, you know what? Let's go right ahead. Do it. Fine. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Because
you know
what I want doesn't matter.
You can't be married to everybody you knew in the past. You're married to the one person that you got. And you have to make decisions about how you two are going to conduct business between the two of you, regardless of what's happening before, because you picked him out of the pack. And you can't say, well, this is what the crowd usually does, so that's how I'm going to deal with it. Having said that, I'm going to say this. I understand, Brian, that you found evidence of a sexual hookup between Jordan and another guy, and I want to hear about it.
So I video chatted him on Facebook, and I called him out on it. He told me that he knew I could see his messages, so he played that role because he felt something was wrong with me with him going to his hometown by himself.
What would you do if your partner spent more time with friends than with you? Tell us what you think at Divorce Court. Today's question sponsored by Divorce Court. Will be right back. If you would like your case to be heard on Divorce Court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com. Missed a show? Watch full episodes on our streaming platforms, and for exclusive content, go to Apple TV. So, Brian, tell me about the time you found that he was hooking up with somebody else.
Maybe about 4 weeks ago, one of his relatives had a medical issue. He decided to go back to his hometown to see them. He said, hey, I got to make a trip back to my hometown. I'm like, okay, well, is it a you trip or a we trip? He told me it's a me trip. I'm like, okay, that's fine. One of my relatives had a serious issue with that, where they almost passed away. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going back to my hometown to see them. So we both went north and south completely. And I got this feeling to see what's going on, check his text messages. So I looked, and it seemed like a continued conversation from somewhere else. He basically requested to see some pictures, and it was 2 new pictures of 2 different individuals. And then the person that was texting was saying, oh, this one's asking about you. We're at this person's house. My partner gets off at this time. Are you want to do this?
Trying to get
what
the
do you want
hookup.
to do? Correct. Now, I let it play out. This was on a Friday. I didn't say anything. Sunday, when I looked again, he was there at the place. So I video chatted him on Facebook, and I called him out on it. He told me that he knew I could see his messages, so he played that role because he felt something was wrong with me with him going to his hometown by himself. I didn't believe it. I gave him time to speak, and then I kind of just said, you know what, if that's your truth, that's fine.
you roll with it.
This is how I feel.
Right.
And I can't take it no more. Like, I wouldn't know how to trust a person
who does something
and I want to trust. As hard as it is for me, too, that doesn't give me the tools I need.
Jordan, are you sticking with the story that you had intentionally put those things on there to kind of prod him into responding?
Yes. Oh, yes. Because when I've dealt with people with trust issues, I can't take it no more. So I'm gonna play that role. I'm gonna take the role that you want me to have, because if I can let my trust issues go, you should be able to let yours go.
Well, but wasn't that kind of a messy way? If you're sick of him because he has trust issues, you say, I can't deal with this because I have trust issues. Why be so messy with it?
I don't know. That's just how I am.
Do you enjoy the mess a little bit? You enjoy the drama?
I don't enjoy the drama, but I just can't deal with constant, every time trust issues. I can't constantly...
You say, I'm fed up, I'm done. Goodbye. Why all of that?
Because I felt like he really had a problem. Even though he says to this day that he didn't have a problem with me going to Memphis, deep down inside of me, I knew he did.
We're talking we're talking about you're talking all around the whole thing. Brian, you say you went to counseling with Jordan and he brought his friend.
The same
Is that
friend.
true?
He did.
Was it marriage counseling?
It was, so we had separated after the gun incident. I kind of told a half truth. I said, you need to go to counseling by yourself. I need to go to counseling by myself.
Right.
He called me out on it later on. I was honest. I didn't go. We came back together, and he had told me about how the counseling was going and invited me to come. I'm like, okay, whatever I can do to help you, I'll come. So I meet him there after I get off of work, and out his car comes him and his friend.
What was up with bringing the friend to the counseling?
There was really nothing up. Like, I thought to sit up here and take him home, but I didn't act on it. That's the only thing I can really just say. I don't act on any instinct that comes to mind. I never go with my first instinct ever. Yes, I understand that he wasn't supposed to be there because it was for he and I, but he was there. And for him, knowing me as long as he does, I would think that he would know that. But no.
I got you. Now that you are separating, now that you are divorcing, I understand that there is an issue about a dog, so we're going to get to that. Today's question sponsored by What should you do if you don't trust your partner? Share your opinion on Twitter and Instagram at Divorce Court. Divorce Court will be right back. So the two of you have a dog. What is the dog's name?
Alice.
Alice? To whom does Alice belong?
If I had to say in the beginning, I would say us. Because in my mind, I got it as a way for us grow a little more and be more responsible.
So you bought the dog.
Yes.
And you brought it home.
Yes, we drove.
And you both deal with it.
More so, Jordan takes it, when Jordan's home, he takes the dog out mostly. I kind of back off from the responsibility of her.
You primarily take care of the dog?
Yes, ma'am, I did at the time.
But you left it with him?
Once we kept separating, he took over all control and everything, and I never said anything else about it.
So you're fine with him keeping Alice?
He do whatever he wants to do.
Okay, well then there's nothing to rule on. He's going to go ahead and keep the dog. I'll put an order into that effect. Mr. Jordan, can I say this to you? I know you've been hurt in the past, and I know that things have happened, and family members and all of that. But what I'd ask you to do is to take more responsibility for what you do. You make decisions about what you want to do. Don't just let life smack you about and then you just say this and say that and do things. Be more considerate in your decisions. Think more. Make plans. Be purposeful. Don't like whatever, oh, he was there, so I left him there. You know, the more purposeful you are, the less batting around you will be. Do you see what I'm saying to you? You get it?
I understand that, and I do take responsibility, but I know I do blame life for a lot this was not an invitation to a discussion. That was just a piece of advice from me to you, Mr. Brian Williams. You will maintain custody of the dog, and this matter is adjourned.
Didn't seem like you owned up to a lot there. Moving forward, you're gonna take more accountability.
I can honestly say I will. There's a lot that I just need to let go and stop just blaming life for what's happening and just take responsibility for it.
Now, moving forward, what do you think you're gonna take with you to make sure you don't have these problems in the next relationship?
I'm never gonna date anyone outside of like 1 or 2 years of my age. I'm also going to take things a little more slower.